You know that moment in the grocery store when someone crashes their cart into yours? They weren't looking. They hit you. And yet, before you can even think, the words tumble out of your mouth. I'm sorry. You apologize for occupying the space they needed to hit. Or think about your inbox. You see an email asking for a favor, something you absolutely do not have time for. Your stomach tightens. Your brain screams, no. But your fingers start typing, sure, I'd love to help. You aren't doing this because you are generous. You aren't doing this because you are polite. You are doing this because, for you, saying no feels physically dangerous. It feels like standing on the edge of a cliff. This isn't a personality quirk. It is a biological imperative.
The world has a lot of names for this behavior.
People call you a people pleaser. They call you a pushover. Maybe your friends tell you that you just need to be more assertive, or that you are too nice for your own good. They treat it like a lack of backbone. But they are wrong. This isn't about weakness. It is about a high-speed, sophisticated survival mechanism running in the background of your operating system. You aren't weak, you are hypervigilant. You are stuck in a mode that psychology calls the Fawn Response. And once you understand the mechanics of it, you will realize you haven't been failing at setting boundaries. You've been succeeding at staying safe. We all know the famous trio of stress responses: fight, flight, and freeze. If a tiger chases you, you run. If you're cornered, you fight. If you can't win, you play dead. But for a long time, psychologists missed the fourth option. It's the one that happens when the threat isn't a tiger, but a person. Specifically, a person you depend on. When you can't fight the threat because they are too powerful, and you can't flee because you need them to survive, your nervous system chooses option 4, fawn. You appease, you merge, you become whatever the threat needs you to be to calm them down. It is the strategy of please and appease. Your brain learned a simple equation. Happy others equals safe me. Let's look at what this actually feels like on a Tuesday afternoon. You walk into a room, and before you even say hello, you are scanning. You are reading the micro-expressions on your boss' face, the tone of your partner's sigh, the tension in a friend's shoulders. You don't just notice these things, you absorb them. If someone is irritated, you immediately feel responsible for fixing it. You become a chameleon. If they are loud, you get quiet. If they are sad, you become the therapist. You shapeshift to fit the container that will cause the least amount of friction. You might even find yourself agreeing with opinions you don't actually hold, just to keep the conversation smooth. Later, when you're alone, you feel exhausted. A specific, hollow kind of exhaustion. That's the cost of erasing yourself for 8 hours straight.
Why do you do this?
Polyvagal Theory gives us the answer. It's called Neuroception. This is your nervous system's subconscious scanning for danger. It happens far faster than conscious thought. For most people, a frown from a coworker is just data. But for the fawn type, that frown registers as a threat to survival. Your amygdala fires. Your body mobilizes. But instead of flooding you with adrenaline to punch someone, fight, or leg muscles to run, flight, it triggers a social engagement overdrive. You smile, you nod, you offer to help. You are trying to de-escalate the predator. And here is the kicker. You are doing this before your logical brain even comes online. By the time you think, why did I just volunteer for that? The chemical cascade has already happened. Now, let's flip the script. The world calls this anxiety. I call it high-resolution data processing. Because you have spent years monitoring the emotional states of others to stay safe, you have developed a level of empathy that is almost supernatural. You can walk into a room and instantly know who is upset, who is lying, and who needs comfort. You are an expert at nonverbal communication. In a crisis, while others are confused, you are already managing the emotional temperature of the group. This isn't a defect, it's a specialized intelligence. The problem isn't the skill. The problem is that the skill is running on autopilot, 24/7, burning you out. You are using a supercomputer to open a door.
But here is the darker question. Where did this software come from?
You weren't born apologizing for your existence. This was installed. Usually it happens in childhood. If you grew up in a home where love was conditional, or where a parent was emotionally volatile, you learned quickly that having needs was dangerous. If you cried, you were too much. If you had a boundary, you were disrespectful. So you learned to trade your authenticity for attachment. Think back. Maybe you were the kid who was so easy, the low-maintenance one, the one who never caused trouble. You learned to predict the emotional weather of the house. You knew that if Dad slammed the door a certain way, you needed to be invisible. If Mum sighed a certain way, you needed to be helpful. You became an expert at anticipatory obedience. You fixed problems before they even happened. You cleaned the kitchen not because you liked cleaning, but to prevent a lecture. You got good grades not for yourself, but to keep the peace. You learned that if you could just keep everyone else happy, you wouldn't be targeted. You wouldn't be abandoned. And that strategy worked. It got you through. The tragedy is that you are now an adult, living in a safe house, but your body is still waiting for the door to slam. Neuroscience tells us that neurons that fire together wire together. Every time you fawned and it successfully avoided a conflict, your brain released a tiny hit of relief chemicals. That relief reinforced the behavior. Over thousands of repetitions, this created a superhighway in your brain. Now, when you sense conflict, the neural signal bypasses your logic entirely and shoots straight down the fawn highway. It's efficient, it's fast, but it is also obsolete. You are running a survival program designed for a helpless child in a dependent environment, but applying it to an adult life where you actually have options. Your brain hasn't received the memo that you can now walk away.
There is a side effect to this that we rarely talk about because it feels shameful.
Resentment. You do everything for everyone. You are the listener, the helper, the fixer, and deep down, a part of you is screaming, "When is it my turn?" You start to secretly hate the people you are helping. You feel used, even though you are the one offering. You feel invisible, even though you are the one hiding. You might find yourself snapping over something small, a spilled coffee, a missed text, because the pressure cooker of unexpressed needs has to blow somewhere. And then, immediately after snapping, the shame hits. The fawn response kicks back in, and you apologize profusely, promising to be better, resetting the cycle. This is where we need to make a crucial distinction. Society confuses fawning with kindness. They look identical from the outside. Both involve helping, listening, and giving. But the internal mechanism is opposite. Kindness is a choice. It comes from a place of safety and overflow. You help because you want to, and if you couldn't, you would say no without fear. Fawning is a compulsion. It comes from a place of fear and deficit. You help because you have to. You help to buy safety. As one trauma therapist put it, fawning is your boundaries evaporating the second someone else feels uncomfortable. If you cannot say no, your yes is not a gift, it is a ransom payment.
In polyvagal terms, there is a state called ventral vagal.
That is the state of true social connection, safety, and play. When you fawn, you are mimicking this state. You are smiling, nodding, making eye contact. But biologically, you are not in ventral vagal. You are in a high sympathetic state, the same state as fight or flight, masked by social performance. Some experts call this fake ventral or high-functioning appeasement. You look relaxed, but your heart rate is elevated, your cortisol is spiking, and your muscles are microtensed. You are performing safety while your body is screaming danger. This mismatch is incredibly draining. It is why you can spend an hour having fun at a party and come home feeling like you just ran a marathon. This leads us to the physical toll. You can't trick your nervous system forever. If you spend your life suppressing your no, your body will eventually say it for you. This often manifests as mystery ailments, chronic fatigue, IBS, migraines, jaw tension. These are often the somatic expressions of repressed boundaries. When you swallow your truth to keep the peace, your body absorbs the impact. The fawn type often suffers from autoimmune issues or chronic pain because the immune system is inextricably linked to the nervous system. You are literally making yourself sick to make others comfortable. Here is perhaps the most painful part of the fawn response: the loss of identity. If someone asks you, "What do you want for dinner?" or "What movie do you want to watch?" do you go blank? Do you honestly not know? Or do you quickly try to calculate what they want so you can suggest that? When you spend a lifetime merging with the wishes of others, your own preferences atrophy. You become a mirror, reflecting everyone else's needs back at them. You might feel like a ghost in your own life. You are everyone's best friend, everyone's reliable employee, everyone's perfect child, but you have no idea who you are when the room is empty. Let's validate the utility of this one more time. Because of this malleability, you are likely highly successful in certain areas. You are probably an incredible mediator. You can bridge gaps between people that others can't see. You are the glue in your friend group. You are the employee who can handle the difficult client. Your ability to de-escalate is a superpower. The world needs peacemakers. But the world needs peacemakers who are alive, not peacemakers who are slowly killing themselves. The goal isn't to stop being empathetic. The goal is to decouple empathy from self-destruction. Let's talk about what happens when you try to stop. Maybe you read a book on boundaries. You decide, today is the day. I am going to say no. So, your friend asks for a ride to the airport and you say, I can't today. You do it, but you don't feel empowered. You feel sick. A wave of guilt washes over you. Your heart races. You start imagining them hating you, bad-mouthing you, ending the friendship. This is the guilt hangover. It is so intense that 5 minutes later you text them back, actually, I moved some things around. I can take you. And the relief is instant. This proves that fawning is an addiction to relief. You are medicating your anxiety with compliance. This relapse happens because trauma responses are state-dependent. Your cortex, the thinking brain, knows you are allowed to say no. But your lower brain, the survival brain, perceives no as a death threat. When you set a boundary, your body enters a state of panic because it violates your old survival contract. The guilt you feel isn't moral guilt, it's survival terror. Your body is screaming, "What are you doing? We are going to get rejected. We are going to die." Recognizing this distinction is key. You aren't a bad person for saying no. You are just a person whose nervous system is ringing a false alarm. Here is the trap the world sets for you. Narcissistic or predatory personalities are heat-seeking missiles for fawn types. They love you. They love that you don't have boundaries. They love that you apologize for their mistakes. They call you their soulmate because you never challenge them. This is why you might find yourself in a string of one-sided relationships. It's not bad luck. It's a lock and key fit. Your trauma response fits perfectly with their entitlement. Recognizing this pattern is painful, but it is the first step to locking the door. Do you over-explain? If you have to cancel plans, do you send a 3-paragraph text explaining exactly why? I have a headache, but I took some meds, and I think if I lay down for an hour, you offer evidence. You build a legal case for your needs. Why? Because simply having a need doesn't feel like enough justification. You feel like you need a doctor's note to exist. This is the Fawn Response, trying to mitigate the anger of the other person. You are trying to control their reaction by giving them so much data that they can't be mad at you. But true boundaries don't require explanations. No is a complete sentence. It just doesn't feel like one to you yet. The good news is neuroplasticity. Your brain is not fixed in concrete. You can uninstall the Fawn program, but you cannot do it by thinking your way out. You have to feel your way out. You have to teach your nervous system through small experiences that no does not equal death. This is called exposure therapy. You start small. You express a preference for a different restaurant. You wait 3 hours to reply to a text instead of 3 seconds. You observe the panic that rises in your body and you don't fix it. You just sit with it. You let the wave pass. And when the world doesn't end, your brain writes a new line of code. I asserted myself, and I am still safe. You are going to have to make peace with being called selfish. When a fawn type starts setting boundaries, the people who benefited from their lack of boundaries will get upset. They will say, "You've changed." They will say, "You are being difficult." Let them. Their discomfort is not a sign you are doing something wrong. It is a sign you are doing something right. You are disrupting the system that relied on your submission. This selfishness is actually self-preservation. It is the act of putting your own oxygen mask on first. Here is a practical tool. It's called the pause. Since your fawn response happens faster than your thought process, you need a buffer. When someone asks you for something, make a rule. You never answer immediately. You say, "Let me check my calendar and get back to you." Or simply, "I need to think about that." That creates a gap. In that gap, the chemical rush of the fawn response can settle. You can engage your cortex. You can ask yourself, do I actually want to do this? That 5-minute delay breaks the automatic circuit. It gives you your brain back. Imagine a version of yourself who isn't tired all the time. Imagine walking into a room and not scanning it. Imagine someone being angry at you and you just letting them be angry. You don't fix it. You don't absorb it. You realize that their emotions are their property, not yours. This is possible. It's not about becoming cold. It's about becoming solid. It's about being a lighthouse instead of a lifeboat. A lighthouse stands firm and shines its light. It doesn't throw itself into the water to drown with the swimmers. Trauma recovery uses a concept called titration. In chemistry, this means mixing two volatile substances drop by drop so they don't explode. In healing, it means you don't overhaul your personality overnight. If you try to set massive boundaries with everyone tomorrow, your system will crash into a panic attack. You titrate. You disappoint the grocery store clerk before you disappoint your mother. You say no to a pamphlet before you say no to a boss. You build tolerance for the discomfort of existing as a separate person. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. If you recognize yourself in this description, I want you to take a breath. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You are a survivor. Your body loved you enough to develop a brilliant strategy to keep you safe in a dangerous world. It worked. You are here. You survived the unsurvivable by becoming what they needed you to be. That deserves respect, not shame. But the war is over. The threat is gone. You are the adult now. You have the keys to the house. You can thank that Fawn Response for its service, give it a medal, and then gently retiring it. Healing the Fawn Response is a journey of retrieving the self you left behind. It's scary, but it's the only way to live a life that is actually yours. If this resonated with you, you aren't alone. There is a whole tribe of us learning that no is a complete sentence. If you want to understand more about your nervous system's unique wiring, stick around. We dig deep here. But for today, maybe just try it once. Say no to something small, and see that the world keeps spinning.